Everybody, Friday, September 22nd. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Washington with the latest news from Ukraine, and it is a very good news day. So, yay. Let me get TikTok rolling first on my iPad. There we go. Introduce yourselves. Like I said, we'll wait a minute or two like we usually do, and then we'll get rolling. But as I said, it's a good news day today, so I'm very glad. Beep, 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 beep. Hello. There we go. There we go, iPad. Woo! Anyway. So Friday night, yay. How are we all doing? My connection's working. My microphones are working. Yes, good. Good. Hello all. Hello, copies. Paco y Fanny. Hola, ¿qué tal? Hey, Big Hawk. Hey, TikTokers. Welcome. Oh, I can hear. Yeah, the neighbors in the hall with their dog and Sasha. Sasha will be barking today, just so you know, because they're playing in the hall and she gets very jealous and wants to join them. But we have a show. Thank you, Succeed. So when Sasha starts screaming, that's why. Oh, I know you're quiet. I can hear her at the door. Quiet. Anyway, yep, we're going to talk about ATACMS. We're going to talk about Ukraine also attacking the Russian Naval headquarters. Thank you, Big Hawk, and for the Black Fleet. Lots of good news today. So, woo. But anyway, introduce yourselves, guys. Say where you're from really quick. We always like to start that way, and then we'll start the show after that. It gives people a chance to arrive from TikTok and YouTube. Estonia, Canada. We always have lots of Canadians. Australia. With the time zone, I never quite know if we can get the Australians. That's good to see. Big Hawk exactly scaring me from my balcony, as always. Tennessee. Alabama. New Jersey Oblast. That's funny. Scotland. We always have a couple Scots, along with Callum, some of the others. Lovely to see you guys. Oh, Sydney. Good. We do have more Australians. That's good. Oh, boy. Anything you should be worried about? Yeah. Not today. Not today. Today's a good day. Actually, I'll get rolling, guys. Why not? It'll take TikTok a minute to join us anyway. Thank you, Happy Beach. Hey, I am John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report. It's my nightly show I do from Washington, D.C. About the latest news from Ukraine. The way the show goes, I will start with the news for half hour, 45 minutes or so. Thank you, Arifa. And then take your questions for the second half of the show. But as always, anybody who wants to support my work, which I very much appreciate because, I do this full time and I need the money to keep going. So thank you, guys. You can always do a super chat question on YouTube, and I will always get to those immediately. You can also do TikTok gifts, which I would very much appreciate, and YouTube super chats as well. The TikTok gifts, as I said, I will always try to do a shout out when I see them, like Chief right there. Any of the gifts that sort of pop up on the screen, I will do a shout out if I see them. So thank you, Chief, for that. And let's get rolling, guys. So today is day 576 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. Thank you, Shane, for the gift. Not a good day for Russia. Very good day for Ukraine. First off, remember tomorrow morning, I've got my coffee talk. That's the show I do every Saturday morning, almost every Saturday morning for the monthly subscribers. That's the folks. Thank you, Chief. The folks and Pam, the folks who subscribe on TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Ko-fi, Twitch. Thank you, Scott. And basically our monthly subscribers to support me on a monthly basis. I do a special show on Saturdays for those guys. Join me, the TikTok subscribers. Join me on TikTok. The rest of you go to Discord, discord.aravosis.com. And you will be able to, thank you, Life, and you will be able to join me from there. Thank you, Sam, I am. So let's get rolling here. So ATACMS. So first big story of today, ATACMS. Biden came through finally. Didn't announce it publicly. He's still being very weird about this. But Biden came through according to NBC News. All right. Several administration officials say, off the record, anonymously, that Biden did approve some of the ATACMS missiles yesterday for Zelensky. He's only providing a small number because, God forbid, he get credit for this. And it's not clear when they're coming. It is also not clear which ATACMS are coming. There are several variants. They differ in range in terms of the variants of the ATACMS. Also, they differ in what they are. I believe you've got some that are basically, they call them unitary. I think they mean like a bomb. So it's a missile with a bomb on the front, but there are some that carry cluster munitions. Thank you, Charles, instead of a bomb. Now, Ukrainians already have cluster munitions, so not clear whether the cluster bomb ones are as effective as the other ones. Now, Beckham is saying 200 to 300 ATACMS could change the war. How much is a small number? Exactly. I will tell you that Budanov was less than thrilled today. Very interesting. Budanov is Ukrainian's head of military intelligence, a viciously, wickedly smart, effective guy. And he's the one who never smiles. Thank you, Ava. He's always like, boom, very serious face, but very good guy. He said today, listen to this. He was asked if he was excited about the ATACMS announcement, right? Now, mind you, there was no announcement. As I said, this was a leak from administration officials to the press, but Biden has not announced this. Budanov says, so let's wait for the official announcement to be made. But I can say conditionally that if it's 100 missiles, this won't change the situation. He was asked, do you need thousands? He said, at least hundreds. Now, that backs up what you were saying there about 200 to 300. Budanov is saying they need hundreds to make a difference. 100 will not make a difference. Biden reportedly told Zelensky yesterday he was going to provide a small number of them. Guys, I am going to praise Biden for doing this, but at the same time, no, I'm not going to praise him. Serg is being very nice from Ukraine and thanking us for the ATACMS. I'm not convinced we deserve thanks yet. Thank you, Ellie. Here's the thing. We have been whining, and my dog, by the way, is going to drive me insane because the neighbor's dog is in the hall, I think, and she's whining at the door to go play with him. So hopefully you won't have to hear it. Thank you, Kankaranga, but I'm literally listening to, woo. Thank you, Ellie, and I would block me. All right, here's the deal. These are missiles that can be fired from the HIMARS, okay? HIMARS, very important. It is the current missiles that Ukraine has that can go around the same distance as the HIMARS, a little bit less, not the HIMARS, as the ATACMS, are the cruise missiles from the French and the British, the Storm Shadows and the Scalp cruise missiles. They go a little bit shorter. The ATACMS can go almost 200 miles or 300 kilometers. But the cruise missiles from the Brits and the French have to be fired from fighter jets. They're literally tied on under the wings. They're attached under the wings. The ATACMS can be fired from HIMARS. Now, that is much more convenient and efficient because the HIMARS is a little roving truck, and this truck can basically pull up, it can fire, and it can drive away before the Russians can hit it. So very, very beneficial. Also, they're just different. As I said, the ranges could be different. The payload could be different, the bomb that it's carrying, etc. Thank you, Adventures. What's weird about this is, Biden isn't announcing it. I don't know why he's not announcing it. They're leaking it to the press. Why leak it to the press? I have told you guys this before with Biden. He never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity, as the expression goes, but never misses an opportunity to not get credit, right? He does things and he doesn't get credit, and he wonders why he does poorly in the polls. Well, we have all been pushing forever for ATACMS. Ukraine supporters have been dying for this. Ukrainians have literally been dying because of this, right? And when Biden decides to finally do it, he does two things. One, he doesn't actually announce it. He lets his staff go anonymously to the media and say, well, he's going to do it. So rather than get credit yesterday with Zelensky, right? Imagine had he announced it with Zelensky. We all would have been like, yay, right? Big day, big. I told you guys, by the way, remember last week, I was saying it would make sense for Biden to announce this when Zelensky's there, because typically in politics, that's what you do. If a foreign leader is visiting, that's a big deal. And a foreign leader who's at war and we're helping save them, that is a huge deal. You would announce the big weapon system when he's here to get credit for it. So by not announcing it, Biden doesn't get credit. Thank you, Dawn. He's announcing it softly on a Friday. Fridays are the worst time to announce news, typically, because it can pop up in the papers on Saturday. Nobody reads it. It's just a bad news day to do it. And then, thank you, Hedge, he's announcing only a small number are going to be given to Ukraine, so that even Ukraine's intelligence chief is going, well, I'm not that excited because if it's only 100, it's not going to make a difference, right? So he's a bad politician. I mean, it's funny because he's been in politics for 50 years, but he's a bad politician. He's got to take credit for things or he's not going to get reelected. That's the first problem. Second of all, he's splitting the baby in half again, right? I remember I think the expression I used, I don't know if I did it with you guys or I did it in my TikTok video, but I talked about how Biden kept trying to be half pregnant with Ukraine, where we're supporting Ukraine, but we don't want Ukraine to win, but we don't want Ukraine to lose, but we don't want Russia to lose, right? So he's only helping Ukraine a lot, but not enough, right? And this is doing it again. right? If we're going at this point, if I mean, is Russia going to be less pissed off because we're going to give Ukraine a small number versus a large number of ATACMS? I think Russia's going to be pissed off no matter what, right? So why does it matter? I mean, why does it? Now, again, maybe he's arguing we don't have enough. I will tell you this: the experts think that's BS. That we don't have enough to give more than whatever we're that a small number. I really don't get it, guys. I mean, again, I am glad he's doing this, but he's doing again the minimal necessary. Thank you, Nicola. He's giving the minimal necessary support for Ukraine. I call BS. I mean, Ellie's saying I call BS. I call BS. I just think he's thank you, Beaches. And again, he's a horrible politician. And that matters. You have to be, by politician, I mean marketing, publicity, PR. Thank you, Jetta. Right? If you want your guy to stay in office, if you want someone who supports the war in Ukraine to keep going, to stay there, and a bad guy doesn't come in, then you need to be good at PR and politics. And I don't think he is. Like I said, he doesn't get credit for the crap he does. I mean, and again, actually, someone says student loans. He tried to stop the student loan stuff. He should be talking about it. You know, he got overruled by the courts and everything else, but he should be talking. He tried. That's important. But he doesn't take credit for anything. Anyway, so like I said, maybe this is a big deal. It may help Ukraine a lot. It may not. I'm a little worried that I'm a little worried that since they're saying a small number, that it's going to be a small number and it's not going to make a difference. So let's see. The attack on the naval headquarters. This was the other huge story today. I mean, this was a great news day, I will say. Ukraine attacked the Russian naval headquarters for the Black Sea Fleet. The Black Sea, all down here. The headquarters, it says, is at Sevastopol, Crimea. Crimea, Ukrainian territory. Russians occupied it since 2014. Sevastopol is the headquarters of the fleet in general. The Ukrainians have been attacking Crimea a lot over the last week, 2 weeks actually. Remember, they destroyed a submarine, they destroyed a landing ship, they destroyed a hovercraft, they destroyed an S-400, anti-air weapon, a really important anti-aircraft weapon system. They've been doing. They did a landing on the sea here. I mean, on the they did a landing on the coast here. Sort of amphibious landing, which was wild. They took over an oil platform, and when they took over the oil platform, which was theirs, mind you, Russia stole it. When they took back the oil platform, they once again got radar, which was great because again, it's taking out Russia's ability to defend Crimea. So all of this is great. Well, today they attacked the naval headquarters of the Russian fleet. Now, I want to show you some video first, and then we're going to talk about why that matters. Hang on a sec. Let me show you a couple of the videos here. Well, first I'll show you the photo. This is interesting. They used, I think they pretty much admitted this. They used the British Storm Shadow cruise missiles. They could have used the French Scalp as well. They probably used both at the same time. So they're cruise missiles, air-launched cruise missiles from the fighter jets, okay, that the Brits and the French gave them. Now, this picture shows the military headquarters on the bottom. You see it already hit by the first missile and it's blowing up. And then you see the missile, the second one at the top circled in red coming in, okay? I'll show you guys. So the bottom is already blowing up from the first missile, and then the second one is in red. Now, what's interesting about this is if you look at the bottom, you are seeing, some of the other experts were saying, and I think they're correct, you are seeing an explosion from basically inside. The missile went inside and you're seeing the windows blow out because you almost can see two, like an explosion up and an explosion out to the side. I'll show you guys, right? You see an explosion like to the right and an explosion to the left going up. So it looks like one missile was a dead hit. The second missile, let me show you, and I'll put my sound on too. This was the second missile. Now I want you to, I will actually show each of you guys close up because it's really good. Oops, where's this? Is this the slow motion? That's the slow motion. Here we go. That's the first one. Good. I'll show you. Here, I'll show you one more time here. Top right. Look from the top right. There. Oh, hold on. Let me get the, you know what? Let me get the, there you go. That's all right. I mean, look at that thing explode. It's like the Reichstag. I'll show you guys now. I should have actually put it on loop, but what do you do? You have to kind of, it's better if sort of, if you could see the video up close, you'd get a better sense of it. Oh, actually, I've got a slow-mo. Hold on. Slow motion, which will give you a much better sense. So hang on a second here. All right. For you guys, the slow-mo. I think it shows it twice. Let's see if it shows it twice. No, it shows it once, but I'll pull it back one more time here. There. So you can see it coming in. And then, but look at it explode once the missile hits. I mean, it's blowing out from the inside. It's well destroyed. Now for you guys, so check it out. Missile coming from the right. Oop, I got to push it. Boom. All right. Missile from the right. Explosion out the bottom. Remember, it was already on fire. I will do it one more time here. So missile from the top. Here we go. Top right. All right. And that exploding out the bottom. I mean, that building is toast. But I like how the thing falling in front makes it look like almost the Nazi symbol coming off the Reichstag. Wild explosion today. Now, it has been reported, but not confirmed, that the commander of the Black Sea Fleet, Admiral Viktor Sokolov, died during the bombing. That would be freaking wild if that happened. I mean, the commander of the entire fleet was at least reportedly bombed, killed in the bombing. We don't know yet. The General Stavridis, who was a top American admiral, said that if that's true, that he was hit, thank you, Gaia, that it would be the highest ranking naval officer killed in combat since World War II. Mind you, again, Ukraine doesn't really have a navy. They have been having such hit against the navy. It's amazing. Now, BBC's Steve Reynolds watched the Russian Evening News. Thank you, Gaia and Frank, for the gifts there, and Olson. Was watching the Russian Evening News, and the Russian Evening News did not report on the attack. Okay. Now, what is interesting about that is some of the folks were saying, like I said, having lip problems here. Some of the folks were saying, if Russia were truly going to go nuclear over an attack on Crimea, they would talk about it on the news. They'd be whipping up fervor, right? Remember, Elon said, oh, you attack Crimea, they'll freak out. They're not even reporting it on the news, which means the Kremlin is so embarrassed by it, and it's such a bad thing, they don't even want to talk about it. That is not what you do if you're planning on going nuclear, right? If you're planning on going nuclear, you justify it by telling everybody how bad it was. So that was the first interesting thing. Now, Institute for Study of War did a really interesting analysis on why this attack on Russia's Black Sea Fleet headquarters matters. I will tell you in a nutshell and then I'll read what they wrote. What they're talking about is the Black Sea Fleet. You think fleet, you think Navy, right? So you're thinking boats, ships in the area. Yes, but they're also responsible for aircraft in the area. They're also responsible for troops on the ground. They're responsible for logistics as well in the area. They are the big military power, in essence, of Russia in that sector, and responsible for a ton of the war effort. Now, again, that's the first reason you hit them, okay? Second reason you hit them, which is interesting, is this is Russia. If you take out the naval headquarters, it's not like, there's a bunch of other people who can take up the job, right? In the American military or NATO's military overall, NATO countries, they will always tell you about how, the lower down, like the non-coms or these kind of, the other, basically, it's not even just the non-coms though. The lower level officers in general are empowered to do stuff, right? Well, in this case, the Russians are not. Thank you, Bonnie. So when the Russians lose their commanders, when they lose their headquarters, as Andre just said, you're cutting the head off a snake, or honestly, you're cutting the head off a chicken. Because when you cut off the head of the chickens, my mom even saw this as a little girl in Greece. You cut the head off a chicken and they literally run around for like a minute or two before they die. And that's what's happening is they have no leadership, and it's not like the lower downs. So that's why. So let me read a little bit more here now, okay? Why it matters from the Institute for the Study of War, big defense think tank that I always like. Russia's Black Sea Fleet is an element of the Russian Navy subordinate to the Southern Military District, okay, Russian Navy, but commands air and ground units in occupied Crimea and elsewhere along the front in Ukraine, in addition to its naval vessels. So that was the first point, right? They don't just control ships, they control ground and air units as well. So soldiers on the ground, people flying planes. That means bigger impact if you cut the head off, right? Which Ukraine just did today. Elements of the Black Sea Fleet's 810th Naval Infantry Brigade are engaged in critical defensive operations in Western Zaporizhia. Western Zaporizhia is that huge front we're talking about over here. That's the one where the Ukrainians made really significant gains in the last day, in the last week or two, but in the last day especially, that we were talking about yesterday, how they've gotten through. There's still a lot of defensive lines to go, but they got through the first big section of defensive lines, which is a big deal, right? The Black Sea Fleet is in charge of a lot of soldiers in that area. Next, the Black Sea Fleet's control of the Saki airfield, this is an airfield in Crimea, gives it charge of ground-based aircraft in addition to its naval-based assets. And Ukraine just attacked the Saki airfield in the last couple of days and reportedly destroyed 12 airplanes. Okay? So you get kind of what's going on with this. The Ukrainians are degrading the Russian forces. They're blowing up the planes. They're blowing up the oil. And now they're blowing up the headquarters for the entire region, in essence. The Black Sea Fleet appears to be heavily responsible for this is the best part, actually. The Black Sea Fleet appears to be heavily responsible for maintaining logistics. Logistics meaning shipment of supplies, food, water, oil, diesel fuel, gasoline if they need it, ammunition, weapons, soldiers, additional soldiers. You've got 200,000 Russian troops in Ukraine, right? They've got to have, as I've said to you guys before, or at least 200,000. Some say, 400,000. Thank you, Sheep King. You've got to provide those soldiers with 3 meals a day. If it's just 200,000 soldiers, you've got to provide 600,000 meals a day, right? I mean, just that alone. Well, the Black Sea Fleet, heavily responsible for maintaining Russian logistics from Krasnodar. Krasnodar is Russia right over here, because this is actually Russia. You go across the Kerch Bridge, the bridge the Ukrainians keep bombing, and then here into Crimea. So the Black Sea Fleet over here, headquarters, is responsible for bringing in logistics from here in Russia into Crimea, okay? And once they get it into Crimea, it also is helping the battle here in southern Ukraine. So you've now chopped off the head of Russian logistics around here. Again, great. A little bit more here. And logistics for occupied Crimea and getting supplies into southern Ukraine, which I just talked about, especially since Ukrainian strikes have complicated Russian ground lines of communication. Russian forces routinely launch drone, and this is the final point. Thank you, Ingrid. Russian forces routinely launch drone and missile strikes from the Black Sea Fleet assets and from within the Black Sea Fleet's area of responsibility in Crimea and Russia. Thank you for the rose there. So this is why it matters, okay? This is why it matters. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, David. It is great on its face that Ukraine was able to destroy the Russian naval headquarters, okay? Huge. B, if they took out the commander of the entire Black Sea Fleet, that would be huge and a disaster for Russia, okay? And embarrassing as well for Russia. Huge. But the fact that the Black Sea Fleet is involved in so many aspects of fighting in southern Ukraine, of troops on the ground, of troops in the air, right? Of planes in the air, of logistics, supplies coming in. The fact that all of that is tied in, and they just cut off the head of a military, mind you, as I said, a military that doesn't delegate well. So the Russian military does a lousy job of people further down taking up the mantle and doing their job, unless literally the guy on top says, pick up the pen, pick up a piece of paper, write a note. I mean, like, they're just not capable of doing anything. So taking out the Black Sea Fleet head, huge. So big. I mean, this was a huge deal today. And of course, just embarrassing as hell. Actually, the other thing people mentioned, which was cool too. Thank you, Joe. The fact that if you look at that video that shows the Storm Shadow cruise missile coming in to take it out, there is no air defense. We're not seeing anything in the air. Like, there's literally, I mean, it's not just that the Russians missed, it doesn't look like the Russians fired anything. There's nothing going on, right? There's also no air raid sirens people were noticing too, right? You've got multiple bombs going off in a big Russian city, so to speak. Crimea, but it's occupied, but still a Russian city. And there's nothing. No, I know it's stealth, but actually what's interesting about that, Callum, somebody shared a video like further on in, I think, Crimea, showing the storm shadow coming across the ground. I mean, I maybe because it is, well, okay, here's my point though. Here's my point. Callum says because it's stealth, but that's the point. Okay. Russia was unable to do anything to stop this. It looks like they didn't even know it was coming. They didn't have any air raid sirens. They had no air defense. And thank you, lizard person. What that says to us is, Elon Musk, you really think Russia is going to like get NATO involved in the war when they can't even stop NATO weapons, right? I mean, we have shown NATO weapons in the hands of Ukrainians, they can't even stop, right? No, we would destroy them. It would be a bad war. I mean, I'm not saying it would be like a easy war against Russia, but we would destroy them. I mean, we'd lose troops and we'd lose stuff too. But there is zero chance that Putin, with everything going wrong in this war, is going, I'm having a really hard time beating Ukraine using some NATO weapons. Let's take on NATO itself and add 31 other countries to this war, right? And add even more weapons that we're not using yet. But we're going to, the Ukrainians and the Americans and the Brits and the French and everybody else will use against us. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, so that was great news. Before I move on to the other stuff, just quick hit for donations as well. Please keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube, etc. I do this for free, guys. And I've been doing it full time since the war broke out. This is my job, which means I don't make money doing anything else. So that's why I always hit you guys up for helping with donations and things, because it frankly makes it possible for me to keep doing the show. So thank you. Thank you, Timothy. You can go, you guys can go to Aravosis.com if you want. You guys can go to Aravosis.com, or you can go to the link in my bio on TikTok. Click that link and you'll see lots of different ways you can give. You can give via PayPal. You can get Cash App, Venmo, Patreon. You can definitely use Patreon's there. Patreon's not linked to my Discord, but Patreon's there. Thank you, Charles. You can certainly use that. Thank you, Obi-Wan. You can also give monthly contributions. Thank you, Indrid. You can do monthly contributions on TikTok. And that also means then you get to come to our special Saturday show we do every Saturday morning. But you can TikTok monthly contributions. You can do YouTube monthly contributions. All the folks in green, Carlos, Brendy, and the rest are the monthly contributors. You can sign up you should be able to sign up via the little dollar sign, I think, at the bottom of the screen by the comment box on YouTube. You can do it on Twitch. You can do it on Ko-fi. That link's there. Ko-fi link is also in my bio for anybody on TikTok who knows Ko-fi. You can do it on Twitch. You can do it lots of different ways, guys. But if you can, I'd appreciate it. Lots of different ways to support. Thank you, Santa and Shane and Dawn and Kevin, and everybody's got the gifts coming TikTok now. Thanks, guys. Champion. Is it Champion? I'm saying Champy. I'm going to assume Champion. Kevin. Thank you, guys. Let's do, thank you, Jalopy. Oh, so this was interesting too. Thank you, Tom. So around the same time this is happening, there is a huge cyber attack. Thank you, John Dillon. A huge cyber attack, unprecedented in size, against Crimea itself, taking out the internet. Thank you, Jalopy. According to an advisor. Sasha! No! Sorry, guys. As I said, she's got her little friend across the hall that she hears in the hall, and she goes, or she's got her little dog friend she hears, or she loves my neighbor Ray as well. So if she hears Ray, that's the other thing she flips out about, and she's at the door screaming for them. Thank you, Chase. The screams are something she didn't used to do, and now she's got like her new little friends, and she's insane. Thank you, Scott. But the only way to stop her is giving her a quick no, and it's the only thing to stop her. So let me go back here. Oh, yeah. So an unprecedented cyber attack as well, presumably by Ukraine on Crimea today, too, which is very interesting. Canada will give Ukraine just under 400 million pounds, which I'm assuming is around $500 million on top of its existing commitments in military aid to Ukraine over the next 3 years. Duda in Poland, the president made some positive remarks about Ukraine being their friend and they can resolve their differences as friends. That's important because Ukraine and Poland have been like really getting into kind of a nasty match over grain, basically a conflict they're having about grain Ukrainian grain being sold in Poland and hurting the farmers, and an election coming up and all of that. Clearly, from yesterday being nasty, they're kind of stepping back and going, okay, because, and I guarantee you, everybody else from NATO weighed in and said, stop it, to both sides. Just stop it, because this is helping Putin. So that's good. Ukraine has confirmed the departure of the second cargo vessel with grain from one of its ports. This is a big deal. Ukraine previously was testing cargo vessels leaving in general, right? And what they had done was they came up with an idea that was actually a very good idea to have the vessels leave Ukraine in the waters here close to Ukraine. They can be defended by Ukraine itself. And then when they come along here, they hug the Romanian coast. And then they come here and they hug the Bulgarian coast, right? These other countries are here. Well, what that does is it keeps them in NATO waters. And if they're in NATO waters, the Russians can't attack. The Russians can't blow them up. The Russians can't board them. They can't do anything, because it would be an act of war if they did that on purpose in NATO waters. So first, the Ukrainians were testing with other cargo ships and sending them through, and they got out. Now they're doing it with actual grain. And this is the second grain shipment that the Ukrainians are sending. The first one made it out through the Bosporus yesterday, so through the little straits there by Turkey. So they made it out, and the second ship is going today. So very interesting. Let's see if it keeps working, but it's working so far. Excuse me. F-16 patrols over Romania. According to the New York Times, a ramped-up patrol of U.S. F-16 fighters is expected to begin as soon as Friday, that would be today, over Romania, after what is suspected to be drone debris was found 3 times this month in NATO allies' territory. 4 additional warplanes, F-16s, will bolster ongoing air policing by NATO and surveillance flights right up to Ukraine's borders. The patrols will last at least a week, but possibly longer. So basically, NATO already has patrol flights going on of F-16s in Romania, and we're adding 4 more planes to at least, thank you, Jalopy, 4 more planes to at least for the next week. US F-16s, did I not say that? We are, at least for the next week, we're going to have more American F-16s flying around. I believe they're American. They're actually US fighters. They're US, like American pilots, I believe, that are going to be flying these. Finally, Zelensky announced that Ukraine will launch joint weapons production with the US. The move will allow Kyiv to start producing air defense systems as part of a long-term agreement. What I think is going on here is a couple things. One, as NATO, as Ukraine aspires to become part of NATO, they need to start shifting over their defense to NATO weapons, basically, and their defense production to NATO weapons. So this is partially just beginning or continuing the process of integrating Ukraine into NATO, making them more NATO compatible, okay, NATO standards. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we are literally building up Ukraine's capacity to make weapons, which is a big deal, especially Western weapons, because hopefully that's something that we can, if we have a harder time shipping weapons to Ukraine because of the political situation, if they're already making them there, that helps a lot, right? So that's excellent. All right, that is it for today. I mean, we'll do Q&A now. Thank you for the origami there. We've also got the auctions. I'll just tell you about the auction. I don't want to show you all the auction stuff again, but we've got a lot of really cool new auction items over on our Discord, discord.aravosis.com. I get a lot of cool stuff from Ukraine. Auction it off. Thank you, LWD. 50% of the, thank you, Indrid. 50% of the auction proceeds I ship back to Ukraine as a contribution. 50% goes to me because I do this full time and it's the only way I pay the bills and I can afford doing the show. So do check out our auctions. It's discord.aravosis.com. Lots of cool stuff. I was showing guys. All right, I'll show you 1 or 2 things. But for example, thank you, Jalopy. Very cool Ukrainian Easter egg. It's a pisanka egg, but basically hollow. And then they do a batik technique with wax on it to color it. Really beautiful. I'm not touching it because I don't want to get it dirty. Again, one of the sort of most traditional Ukrainian art forms. And I will never remember how to pronounce it. It's like pitavanka or something like that. You guys, I've got it in the description over on Discord, but very pretty, hand painted by this artist in a small village in Ukraine that Vlad knows. So she sent us a number of different things. This is one of them, but very pretty. Lots of other stuff too. I will show one more thing. Oh yeah, the other thing I'll show you is, which my personal favorite, a piece of a Russian fighter, Russian airplane, military plane, Su-34, and we believe this is the igniter, the ignition box, the starter box for the plane. I had Best Worst Gamers check it out last weekend. One of our folks here, who is a former U.S. military aviation engineer, and he looked at it and immediately went, "That's a." He goes, "That's an igniter." Now, what's cool about this one, which I like, is if you look very closely at the top where my finger is here, it's an actual piece of the electronics, which is so cool, right? Check it out. Is that neat? So for you guys here, the electronic piece up here, which I think is really neat that it's got that. And you can see obviously other parts of this and well mangled because of course it was shot down over Ukraine. But another cool thing, we've got a lot of different really cool stuff. But there you go. You can put it in a decorated planted tank. What the hell does that? I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Anyway. All right, guys. Yeah, I'll skip the rest of the stuff, but check it out. Discord.aravosis.com. We've got a lot of really cool stuff. Oh, fish safe. Yeah, I wouldn't put it in a fish tank. Oh, no. Because I'd be worried it would poison the fish. Scary. Thank you, Wings. All right, guys. 6 Evo had a question. Thank you, Super Chat question. Prediction for Russia's reaction tomorrow about the ATACMS. Also, since Biden has not announced it himself, can it be false like the F-16 situation from this year? Yes, it could be. The fact that Biden hasn't announced it is weird. It's very troubling to me. It worries me. Thank you, John S. It worries me. It actually worries me. The only thing is it was like 3 different administration officials who said this, and to NBC News. For NBC News to run with it, thank you, JRD, they had to be officials who were pretty well placed, right? Not just Joe Blow. And for 3 of them, thank you, Jim Alt, for 3 of them to come up with it separately, administration officials, it sounds real, but it is very weird that Biden didn't announce it with Zelensky yesterday. Why tell him privately, right, and not go public? Now, I will say this. Zelensky yesterday was very nice, very appreciative. After the private meeting with Biden, he sat with the cabinet, so Biden's top advisors of the various ministries, of the various agencies, right? And Zelensky was over the top praising, saying, we got everything we wanted, everything we needed. And a bunch of us were hearing that going, you didn't get ATACMS. What do you mean? It's funny. I was thinking in the back of my head, but I didn't say it. Either Biden made him a promise privately that didn't go public, and that's why Zelensky was so praiseworthy, or Zelensky is not an idiot, and he knows that, Biden is the U.S. is his biggest supporter, and he's got to suck up to Biden, even if Biden doesn't give him everything. He's got to just say, this is fabulous, this is wonderful, right? I mean, he learned that lesson. The Ukrainians were kind of critical a few months ago of a number of NATO allies, including the U.S., and it kind of backfired on them. So I think right before the NATO summit, remember in July? So I don't know. It's possible. It's very weird. Putin's reaction, thank you, Ernie. Putin's going to be pissed. The Russians are going to absolutely talk about, nuclear. They're going to talk about nuclear war, about how America is now a party to the war, and if a U.S. weapon attacks Russia, and then right? But so who cares? I mean, again, the red line for Russia, among other many things, the red line for Russia was that that any attack on Crimea was going to be nuclear war. Well, now they didn't just attack Crimea; they blew up they blew up the Russian Naval headquarters. Thank you, Jim Alt. I mean, huge what they did. Huge what they did. I mean, again, if they killed the top commander, the head of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, at least reportedly may have been blown up and killed today. My God. Absolutely. Yep. It's whale bailing in the box. Yeah, exactly. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And Putin hasn't done a damn thing about it. So, yes, the Slovakian candidate for, I don't know if it's prime minister, probably, candidate is super pro-Russian, super anti-Ukraine, has said he's going to cut off all support for Ukraine. It's bad. Thank you, 6 Evo, for that. It's very bad. Yes. Paul Gray, thank you for the super sticker. Very nice of you. Did the U.S. guide the Storm Shadows to their target? No. What the U.S. does is typically what the U.S. has been doing, for example, is providing information on possible targets. But often I think that's like, this ship is in this area, whatever. Callum could probably tell you better than I can about what the process is for targeting these cruise missiles. I don't know, because, when you think about it, the location doesn't move. It's a naval headquarters. It's a building. So it's not like you need America to tell you where that building is, right? They know where the building is. So I don't quite know how you program in the information to tell a cruise missile where the building is, right? Or, a Glickum or whatever it is, no, this is an Alcom, how you tell an air-launched cruise missile where it is, but they've got other ways of doing it, they could be using Starlink, GPS, like you said. Satellites, satellite imagery, maps. Well, I know you can't, well, I guess that's true. This is one of those questions where Callum knows, so Callum can't answer it. But anyway, let's see what other people than Callum think. But my suspicion would be that, let me tell you this too. I can guarantee you that if the Ukrainians needed the GPS information, we or the Brits or somebody probably provided them all the GPS information on every Russian target that exists in Ukraine and Crimea, right? So we would have already given them, okay, here's the military headquarters, here's the sub base, here's the whatever, right? Here's the Saki airfield, here's this. Like, we would have given them all of those, all the targets that don't move. We would have already given them all the GPS so that they would have had it, because they need to decide when they want to go after it, right? So, okay, oh boy, we're expecting some big storms possibly here in DC because of the hurricane or whatever that's off in the ocean, but bringing a lot of rain here starting tonight. Oh, don't know, lizard person. What did you ask? I didn't see what you. Now I'm seeing you say forgive for the repeated question, but I didn't see your question. Any idea if the situation in Flag I Don't Know and Flag I Don't Know may impact in Ukraine? You're so European. I'm guessing you're European. Europeans do that all the time. It drives me crazy. I don't know the flags. Tell me what the flags are. I never know what the damn Armenia and Azerbaijan. Okay. Impact Ukraine. Thank you, Quasar. One thing that's good is it distracts Russia. That's good, right? The situation with Azerbaijan and Armenia. Second of all, it's harming Russia's relationship with Armenia, which is great. Obviously not good for the Armenians, what's going on, but in terms of the war in Ukraine, I don't think it's affecting us. It is certainly distracting to Russia. Thank you, Pesky. Hey, quiet. Jeez, it's certainly, as I told you, hey, quiet. What she also does is, once she knows the neighbor's dog or somebody was in the hall at one point, then she keeps going back to the door to try to get their attention. So that's the other thing my little dog too is doing here. So there you go. Tom Cruise missile. That's funny and stupid, but funny. Dad joke. What else? Is it true that Poland stopped weapon support for Ukraine? We don't think so. The Polish prime minister sounds like he's a bit of a jerk, and he's not. Thank you, lizard person. He is not the leader of Poland. The leader of Poland is the president. Okay. The Polish prime minister is another guy. He was the one who said, we are going to stop sending all weapons immediately to Ukraine. And then the foreign ministry of Poland came out yesterday and said, that's not true, right? You now have Duda the president trying to make up with Ukraine, say we will figure out our differences. The prime minister, that same guy, came out again today and said, you insulted Poles. Don't ever insult Poles again. The prime minister is a dick. I don't know what's going on, but he's a jerk. I don't know if he's a little bit pro-Putin. There's something going on with him, but he's not the head of the government. Duda is, but this prime minister is trying to take advantage. And actually, my guess is the election's next month. I don't know what the prime minister is trying for, but the prime minister is trying to get some kind of attention, So who knows? The prime minister, he's a national, but I wasn't sure what the prime minister is a jerk, clearly. But yes, Duda is calmed down, which is good. A guided hybrid hypersonic. Not sure what that's about. Prime minister is the head of the largest party in parliament. Interesting. Okay. Oh, I guess still, I mean, I know that, but what I mean is, what I don't understand is in France, clearly in Poland, how the prime minister, thank you, Marino, how the prime minister could be head of the largest party, but they also could be, they're not the president, right? Like in France now, at one point, prime minister was really important, but now it's the president, right? And in Poland, the president's the big guy, right? So like, I don't get that with you guys, like how, whatever. Magical saying, if Russia were to do anything like nuke or other, wouldn't NATO shock and awe Russia? Yes, but yes and no. NATO would have to get involved in a huge, disproportionate way if Russia used a nuke, if only to stop Russia from using more nukes. Second of all, Poland and the Baltic countries would probably go ballistic if Russia used a nuke, and they would force NATO's hand, because I could see Poland saying, that's it, we're entering the war. We're entering the war. If they're going to start nuking on our border, we're entering the war. And basically Biden and the others are forced to do something to get involved. Thank you, Soren, to get involved to stop it. But I think our response would not be nuclear. Our response would be conventional. I do not think we would attack Russia in Russia. We would do something. We would have to do something huge in Ukraine, because we'd also have to send the message that you can't use nukes. You just can't use nukes like this. Adjusting my light here. Because, there we go. You can't use nukes like that, because it's going to send the message to Israel, to Pakistan, to India, to North Korea, to all these countries that it's okay if you use nukes as long as you do, a local nuke is okay, a small nuke. So, no, I think NATO enters the war. I don't know in what way. NATO would have to enter the war in some way if Russia uses nukes. The Republicans, or the MAGA Republicans, would go, oh my God, we've got to get out. See, he's using nukes. So it would also cause political hay. It would definitely cause political chaos, but I don't think NATO has a choice. Aqualimus is saying, if I remember correctly, in Poland, the leading party makes the laws and such, and the president acts as a representative of the nation, head of the army, and has to sign in every law and veto it. Yes, I mean, but that's sort of always the case, right? The president is this head of country abroad and blah, 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 and the prime minister is parliament, except that clearly it can be rejiggered into a powerful, less powerful kind of thing. In France, like I said, the prime minister once was very powerful. Then they made the president really powerful. I don't know when it was, but I remember that happening at one point. It was sort of, I want to say it was president, then. So that's the thing I don't understand. What else we got? What are the chances of the Russians using nukes? I don't think they use them. I don't think they use them. If the Russians know that NATO is going to get involved in the war in some big, heavy way, thank you, Louis, then I don't think they use nukes, because Russia is having a terrible time with the war so far, right? Terrible time with the war so far. They don't want to get NATO involved. They would die if NATO got involved. Again, they're having a very difficult time beating Ukraine. I mean, let the trolls say what they want, right? At worst, the war is a tie. And that means Russia can't get out. Russia's losing men. They're losing forces. They're losing their military. And by the way, every time Ukraine blows something up, what does Russia do if war breaks out with NATO right now? What do? They don't have the troops. They've got everybody down in Ukraine. They're going to move troops back up to Poland, Crimea. I mean, not Crimea, Poland and the Baltic states. How? Right? With what troops? What army? They don't have them. They can't afford. What if war broke out with China or something? I mean, who knows? China's their buddy right now, but who the hell knows? Russia's in a precarious situation. They don't need another country or countries coming into this war right now. So no, I just think there's zero reason for them to use nukes. It's a disaster if they use nukes, And yeah, and the BRICS, the Brazil, India, China, who knows how they would react? Probably not happy if Russia used nukes, I would think. Even Brazil might be forced to criticize Russia, which would be big. Thank you, Wings, for the hat and mustache. I'm going to go at you guys. Sorry. What else? What else? If I visited Ukraine, what cities would I visit? It depended on the safety situation, right? I mean, the thing is, if I had my choice and it were safe, obviously Kyiv, Odessa, because Odessa is just a very famous old city that I'd love to see. Kharkiv would be fun because Vlad's from Kharkiv, and it's the second largest city, so it'd be neat to see. And then I don't know. I think then I would sort of listen to what other people say about I'd like to go to other places where there's, sort of cultural things to see and stuff. I don't know beyond that. Thank you, Wings. But I'm also interested but because there's a war, I'm also interested in the war effort and meeting people involved with that, which would be really cool. So that could take me anywhere, It's just, I've just got to feel safe. And I just don't know that I feel safe going right now. Callum, I'd go where the pubs are. Exactly. Well, we know you would. Oh, boy. Oh, excuse me, guys. Thank you, Wings, for that. I did have a little bit of an allergy pill before the show, and maybe I think that's what's doing it. Thank you, Jonathan. Did not see, but I'm not surprised. Thank you, Randy. Keps is saying, did you see that Russian media was very praiseworthy about Republican resistance to more aid for Ukraine? Thank you, Wings, for the gift. Did not see, but again, not surprised. What's the status of the Russian army that's fighting against Russia in Russia? Oh, those guys, I don't know. We don't hear about them much. The whatever they're called, that Russian Legion or whatever they're called. What are they? They've got a couple of different names for them, but the sort of the Russians who volunteered to fight against Russia, sort of as insurrectionists. Haven't heard from them in a while. I don't know. Did a British Storm Shadow hit the military headquarters in Crimea? Yes. And looks like it destroyed, two of them at least, destroyed the building. Absolutely destroyed it, and may have even killed the head of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, is the rumor, but we don't know. Or I shouldn't say rumor. Some people are reporting that their sources are telling them that, but we don't know. Sort of as I'm talking to you guys, I'm kind of looking here to see if there's any let me see here. Oh, I could be yawning as you guys. Sorry. I don't know why I'm tired. Nope, just looking here. I'm not seeing any nope. That's interesting. Oh, this is interesting. This friend of mine, George, is sharing a comparison of ATACMS, Storm Shadows, Taurus. The Taurus are the German cruise missiles that the Ukrainians want. The Germans are being a pain in the butt too. Storm Shadow Scalp range 250 to 400 kilometers, depending on the version. Speed 1,000 kilometers an hour. The Taurus speed of 800 to 1,000 kilometers an hour. Thank you, Pam. Range 300 kilometers. So 500 kilometers, excuse me. So that's more than the Storm Shadow and the Scalp. ATACMS range 300 kilometers. So again, in the range of Storm Shadow and Scalp, less than Taurus. Speed Mach 3.5, 4,300 kilometers an hour. So the ATACMS go way faster. That's interesting. Well, Uzhhorod is where, that's funny you say that, Roger, because that's where Vlad is. That's where Vlad is from Kharkiv, but he moved to Uzhhorod because his family, he's got now a 4-year-old daughter, but a 3-year-old daughter and his wife, and just very, it's been very difficult on them. Oh, God. Oh, I saw somebody else mention my yawning. Thank you, Chris. I'm reading you mentioning my yawning, and it got me to yawn. Okay, now it's making my eyes water. Anyway, hi, Maria. Anyway, so, what else we got, guys? Do a few more questions. Did we talk about Tucker's new weekend show? No, because it wasn't really relevant for Ukraine. And it's not really confirmed, to be honest. Thank you, Jimmy, for the glasses. Is the U.S. giving day-to-day intelligence? Hopefully. I mean, I don't think we know exactly what the U.S. is giving, but, Kadyrov, I think he's alive. The BBC or Sky News, I forget who, maybe Sky News it was, actually sort of open sourced intelligence his video on Sunday and said that they think it was real. It was definitely at his home. I'm not sleeping. I never sleep enough, though. That's the problem, too. I just don't sleep well. Are the Chechens still in Ukraine? Pretty sure they are. Yep. What missiles would take out the Kerch Bridge? We've talked about that before. Help me out, Callum and company. I think we had said, sorry, my eyes are watering, that the ATACMS would not be the missile of choice for attacking the Kerch Bridge. Actually, Callum did say Storm Shadows. Now, what I don't remember, Callum, was whether we said Storm Shadows would be your first pick of weapons to use. That I don't recall. Well, C4, the problem is C4 is like plastic explosives or whatever, explosives that you'd have to put manually, I believe, right? So yes, but wouldn't that require somebody getting near the supports of the bridge and actually drilling and stuff? Callum says Storm Shadows would be ideal, but more ideal would be commandos to use shaped charges. Yeah. So more ideal would be actual commandos going up to the bridge, secretly drilling in it, putting the explosives inside of the supports and just blowing it up. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Is North Korea? Oh my God, guys, I'm sorry. I hate when it hits me like this too. All of a sudden, it's like boom. Is North Korea giving weapons to Russia? The Ukrainians believe yes. Ukraine says for at least a month and a half, 2 months, the North Koreans have already been giving weapons to Russia. That's what they say. Dark Irish, thank you for this. Romania is investigating if the cargo ship anchored offshore was damaged by a mine. Yes, and crew had to be evacuated, possibly related to Russian mines. Yes, this was a story from yesterday, the day before. And there was a cargo ship, although the story did not have a ton of info. But there was a cargo ship, but it's not clear it was a cargo ship either going or coming to Ukraine. It looks like, I think it came from Turkey or something. It was a cargo ship just in the area, period. And there was an explosion and the crew had to be rescued. The Romanians went and rescued them. The Romanians said, we believe this is related to Russia's war in Ukraine, but there wasn't anything more than that. They didn't say, we think this is a Russian mine. They said related to the war in Ukraine. When I read that, to my ears, that was the Ukrainians being careful and saying this could be a Russian mine, it could be a Ukrainian mine. We don't know. They also had to blow it up because no, they didn't. There was a different one. Oh, I'm mixing my stories here. No, I'm mixing my stories, guys. That was I'm talking about the what was it that the drone that had a bomb on it that washed up on shore. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry. That was the one where the Romanians said could be one, or Bulgarians, whichever said could be one, could be the other kind of. This one is a different thing. That's Bulgaria. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. I'm mixing up my stories. This was a ship that blew up, and I believe the Romanians went to rescue the crew, but they did not know at the time why it blew up. It could have been a mine. If it was a mine, again, was it a Ukrainian mine? Was it a Russian mine? Who knows? So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. And I'm like mixing my stories up. She is sulking somewhere. Yeah. Oh God. Oh my God. Somebody goes, is your dog sulking? And I'm like, where is she? And I look here. Hold on. Wait, there we go. She's literally on the floor looking at me. I think this would count as sulking. Hold on, guys. You're going to laugh. She cracks me up with this, though. She's just the funniest damn dog. But this is her when she's kind of sad and waiting for me to finish the show. She's just sitting here looking at me. Here, check this. But I look, and the best part is the eyes are open, and she's just watching. Hey, Victor in Kiev. Good to see you. That's my girl. But eyes open too. Oh yeah, the eyes are wide open. She's watching me just like, okay. But it means she kind of gave up and she's waiting, but she's keeping her eyes open because she wants to party. Exactly. Finish and play with me. Oh my God. Oh boy. Sorry, guys. Remember tomorrow, as I said, we've got our coffee talk. So that's the hangout I do for the paid subscribers on TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Twitch, etc. Kofi. The TikTok subscribers can join us on TikTok, 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. That's the monthly subscribers on TikTok. The rest of you who are monthly subscribers, join us on Discord and look for the section that's called John's Weekly Get Together or something like that. Do I think the Ukrainians are tired? I think the Ukrainians are more tired than I am. Yes, I'm sure they're tired. Think about if you're in Kyiv, especially, right? Every night the Russians are waking you up and you have to, thank you, Frank, waking you up and you've got to go to a shelter repeatedly. Imagine what that does to your sleep. Yep. My mods are great, Reed. Thank you for saying so. What's dinner? I just made some like chili with pasta, like a chili mac kind of thing. It was easy because I didn't want to be tired and hungry for you guys. When I'm hungry and I get nasty. No, but Kyiv is having the sirens going off every night. They may be having an easy time, but they've got the sirens going off several times. And I'm following people on Kyiv on Twitter and literally watching them go, oh God, third siren, third air alert going off tonight. So yes, probably having a better. Thank you, Scott. Probably having a better time than Kharkiv, but Kyiv is still not happy though. What else, guys? I saw a video of a Ukrainian drone had a Russian landmine attached to a grenade and dropped on Russian positions. A Russian landmine attached to a grenade. I don't know. Thank you, Kemi. They're very they're very creative. I'm not sure. Vlad would know about. I could see Vlad going, "Oh yeah." Renegade relief runners. I don't know what that is. No idea. Will the USA give better weapons now that Poland stopped? No. Poland hasn't really stopped though. Poland, it was the prime minister who threatened it, and he was being an idiot. So Poland hasn't stopped. Yeah. I hear you. Relax. I know. But yeah, no. What else, guys? Vlad's setting up a new factory building those. I know. Yeah. Vlad should run an intelligence service himself. I'm going to do the recap in a second. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll do the recap, guys. I was thinking of Discord, but honestly, I'm just so tired tonight. We're going to skip Discord too. So let me yawn at you one more time. Oh, there we go. Yawning. Are the drones still working in Ukraine? Yeah. More cardboard drones. Yeah, those are the cardboard drones are the ones from Australia. Yeah, very nice drones. All right, day 566 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. Tomorrow is our coffee talk I will do for the monthly paid subscribers on TikTok, Discord, YouTube, Twitch, Ko-fi. Thank you, Super Hornet. The TikTok. Oh, interesting sunset. Actually, that sunset, when the sun sets like that, it almost makes me think of the Canadian wildfires when it kind of does that yellow sunset like that. Always a little suspicious. But tomorrow, so yes, on TikTok, if you're a monthly TikTok subscriber, part of the SNN subscribers, join us at 11 a.m. Eastern. I will go live just for you guys, and I will go live on Discord for the rest of the monthly subscribers at 11 a.m. Eastern as well. Actually, I'll set up an event tonight, so it's there, so it's very obvious where it is. ATACMS. President Biden allegedly, according to NBC News, has approved sending a small number of ATACMS missiles to Ukraine. That's a big deal, but it really depends. A, was it approved? B, how many? C, which variant? Some of the variants are what do you call them? Cluster bombs, which aren't as good of what Ukraine needs these for as the bombs. So we'll see. The attack on the naval headquarters, Ukraine destroyed Russia's headquarters for its Black Sea Fleet. Thank you, Heine. In southern Crimea, in Sevastopol today. Reportedly, we'll see, but there was a report that they also killed the head of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, the commander. Ooh, we're getting the sky's getting nicer and nicer. Yellow sunsets are always kind of different. So that's very big deal for Ukraine. Ukraine's, what was I looking here? Oh, Crimea has been struck by an unprecedented cyber attack. Looks like it was the Ukrainians. Canada will give Ukraine just under 400 million pounds or $500 million on top of its existing commitments in military aid. Duda and Poland made some positive remarks about Ukraine being their friend and having to work out their problems between friends, which is good. Ukraine confirmed the departure of the second cargo vessel with grain from one of its ports. So the F-16 patrols. Thank you, Katie. The New York Times reports that the U.S. has ramped up patrols of F-16 fighter jets over Romania, at least for the next week, if not longer, to respond to Russia's repeated incursions of drones on Romania's territory. And finally, Zelensky announced today that Ukraine is going to launch a joint weapons production with the United States in Ukraine, which will help them get weapons and might even help them to some degree if Congress makes Biden, Republicans and MAGA Republicans in Congress sort of force Biden to sort of cut back on Ukraine. So I am in Washington, D.C. Canada's giving F-16s as well. Excellent. Thank you, Tomcat, for that. Anyway, guys, so that's what I've got for today. That's the news. Seeing reports that Sevastopol attack left 9 dead, 16 injured, including generals. Wow. Yeah, I'm going to do one last minute look here and see if there's any updated. I mean, because the thing is, it's just a matter of what they're able to get people to tell them, right? Because we know, I mean, we saw the attack. It was during the day. Oh, that's on Sky News. What about the generals as well? That's pretty cool if that's the case. Wow. Looking here. Okay. Budanov is saying, the head of Ukrainian military intelligence, Budanov claims that the commander of Russian forces in southern Ukraine, Colonel General Romanchuk, and commander of the 200 separate something brigade, Lieutenant Sekov, were severely wounded in the attack. That's good. Wow. Wow. Oh, I see. Yeah. And this is from Pentagon correspondent for VOA News. That's good. This is from VOA Voice of America, which is good. Among severely wounded in Ukraine attack on Black Sea Fleet headquarters, Colonel Romanchuk and Lieutenant Sekov. What we were saying, Ukrainian intelligence chief Budanov tells VOA he confirms at least 9 dead and 16 injured. Wow. At the same time, Budanov at this point cannot confirm the death of the Black Sea Fleet commander. Okay, so that's what we said. There's a report that the whole Black Sea Fleet commander was killed as well, but Budanov, I just love this guy when it does this. Budanov was not able to confirm that. So, yeah. No, the thing that's amazing too, and somebody was mentioning this on Twitter earlier, like with all of Ukraine's capacities today, why would you put like all these commanders and generals in a big building called headquarters, right? With the Ukrainians being able to hit them? It just seems kind of weird. It is a nice sunset today. Well, it's interesting because it's not one of those orange ones. It's a yellow one, but it's very pretty. Yeah, it's a very, very pretty yellow sunset today. So lovely. But yeah, seems a little odd. Seems a little odd, doesn't it? So anyway, anything else, guys? I don't mind hanging for another couple minutes if we've got stuff to talk about. But otherwise, a lot of ambulances responding to the attack. Yep, I heard that too. And mind you, the Russians were claiming, like, as always, oh, we shot down all the storm shadows, and then literally there's video of the place on fire and a second storm shadow coming in. It's like, give me a break. Give me a break. Oh, because of the clouds. Yep, I'm assuming. Actually, I didn't even think of that. It's also right because of the hurricane clouds too. Because, well, the hurricane, that would be the west though. Sunsets in the west. Yeah, it's not the hurricane. Well, who knows? We could still have some of the hurricane clouds already, I guess, because the rain's supposed to start tonight at midnight. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you for joining us. Come back tomorrow, as I said, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. I will be doing my special show for the monthly subscribers. If you aren't one, please feel free to join us by becoming one on YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Ko-fi. You can find the Ko-fi link at aravosis.com or the link in my bio on TikTok. Or TikTok, you can just, do, I don't know where she went now. She's probably like over by my bedroom. I know her. No, she's gonna be on the floor. Somebody's asking where my dog is. She's gonna be like on the floor. Yes. She's now on the floor in my kitchen. I've got a rug there. So she's on the rug like 5 feet that way, waiting for me. She's funny. It's nice to have a dog that's needy. Somebody needs you. Always lovely. All right, guys, I'm going to go. So yeah, look for me tomorrow. Mods, as always, remember, you don't have to come, but you're all invited. The mods have full rights on the auctions and the weekend show. And go check out the auctions, guys. Like I said, a lot of cool stuff. I've got a lot of cool stuff coming too. I've got a lot of cool stuff in general that I picked up from Ukraine. And I'll be doing, as we said, the thank you, Jetta. Half the contributions, half the auction winnings will go to Ukraine. Half of it will support my work. So it's good all around. Ooh, the sky is doing better things now. Yeah. Getting better. It's nice, one of those sunsets when it just keeps getting better and better, Very nice. I've got 11 things up, I think, today, because I just decided to put a lot of stuff up. And I had a lot of stuff, and I was like, you know what? Actually, part of it too is with Christmas coming. I was thinking I want to put more stuff up just because I don't want to inundate people with stuff, but I think for Christmas gifts, they're kind of cool, at least, well, okay, for me, they're cool. I always buy stuff for auction that I would want, right? I can't promise for you. I know my auction stuff, basically, I buy stuff for 4 people, me, Callum, Mustard, and Crusher, because you 3 have my tastes in all the military stuff. Otherwise, hard to say. Exactly. Callum, we could get Callum a plane part for Christmas. Disney Paris. Ooh, thank you. Hey, John S. The sky is really getting nice now. Damn. Wow. This is turning into a nice little sunset here. I don't see you guys. The problem is it's very bright for you guys on YouTube. So I don't know whether I'm trying to see, it's not really giving you, whereas you guys are getting a great, Yeah, see, you guys are getting a great, like the great sunset there. Yeah. But God, the sky is like exploding now. I love it when it's like this. I don't mean to keep dragging this out, but I love like when the yeah, and of course the camera just doesn't do it justice. The camera can never do the sunsets justice, you know? But it's like explosive yellow orange now. But when it's all over the place too, it's cool. And with that purple, like a purple overlay, you know? I hear you, Sash. I know we're admiring the sunset. You'll get your attention next. Wow. I imagine on the roof it must be like half the sky lit up, probably just by the way it's doing that. You know what I mean? It's one of those where it just keeps going, which is really neat. But yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm assuming up and down the eastern seaboard, the rest of you must be getting a decent sunset too. Anybody in New York or Boston or Philly or wherever? I assume you guys are getting nice sunsets too today. Is Ukraine getting enough volunteers? I don't know. But I think the Ukrainians were also talking about really building up their military, you know? I think. It's not as pretty. Oh, that's interesting. New York, yes. Yeah, because often when I have a nice sunset here on Twitter, people in New York will be, oh yeah, and it's like everyone sort of chimes in. But this is just wonderful tonight. God, actually, I'm looking to see. Yeah, a little different without the door, but not by much. Because the door has sort of the polarized windows or whatever they are. Thank you, Red Watts, or to stop some of the do I ignore the dog all day? Are you kidding? Went for a walk with her. Took her to play in the hall for half an hour with the neighbor's dog. I mean, it's like nonstop attention, but she's literally going, I hear you. Oh my God. Literally, you'd think I beat you. Oh my God. What don't you say? Well, you're not going to see it in Greece. That's clear. Anyway, I hear you. Move the camera. I can screenshot on TikTok for you. Oh, on TikTok. Well, you can try. Oh, that's true. Because I'd be curious to see. There we go. I'm curious to see what it like on TikTok. What it actually. I can do that too. I always forget that. I'll grab a screenshot too, because that way I can sort of look at it later and see what it actually looks like. Although it's starting to get a little nicer on YouTube. Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, it's getting that darker look. I used to do this in New York. I would just get my I had a wonderful view. Oh my God, my view in New York. I've shown you guys my view in my apartment in New York I had. Oh my God. I mean, the UN was the worst job ever, but God, I had a great apartment. Let me pull this up. Just stunning views. And I would go live there. And it was so funny. I'd go live and get I get like 6,000 people from all over the world who just wanted to basically look at the view from my apartment of the sunset in Manhattan. Quiet. I hear you. There's one. I'm looking here. I had actually a good video, but I was looking for more of my New York. Well, okay. I mean, this is the view from my apartment. I mean, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous looking at Manhattan. I mean, and this wasn't even the best part of the view, right? This was sort of the just looking at the river part of the view. But hold on. Yeah, this gives you the sense. This was the panorama. This was the panoramic view out my window. I mean, literally, this is the view out my living room window in New York. It was sick. No, I was in Long Island City, right across the water in Long Island, in Queens. I mean, look at this view. It was just, again, it was too expensive. It was just too expensive. But I mean, imagine that's the United Nations, by the way. The big building with all the bright light square, that's the UN. And next to the UN on the left is 42nd Street. So I was able to look down 42nd Street from my place. I mean, it was sick. But oh well, what do you do? I miss New York. It really was like it was just a lovely it was just lovely. And Sasha Sasha loved checking out the view from there too. Yeah, see this where the sky is doing its. I know the sky is doing its thing still. It's really nice. Hold on, looking at the beeps. But yeah, I got like a number of great shots too of like Sasha looking out the window. She loved to look out my window and just like bark at everybody in the nearby buildings, which was very funny too. Sasha, I hear you. I hear you. Anyway, looking at this, yeah, you've seen like the best. Actually, this was one of this. I'll stop with this. Was one other night shot that I took a million photos because it was literally this gorgeous with the light at night, and I just sat there for like an hour taking photos because it was ridiculously pretty. I mean, look at that. And again, the UN is kind of dark, but that big street in the middle is 42nd Street that reflects in the river. So that's 42nd Street reflecting in the river, which is amazing. Show you guys. I mean, it was, like I said, I really, but again, that apartment, when I left, they raised the rent to $3,500 a month. And I was like, there is no way I'm paying that. I just refused, because I mean, here I'm paying, well, I'm still paying a lot, but I'm paying a lot less than that, Yep. Now it's starting to go. That's why YouTube is showing up better because the light is less now. But, we're going to lose this in a few minutes now, but that was a nice little sunset for us all to share. Very nice. 5,000. It could be. I know this is Long Island City. I mean, it's probably up to 4,000 at least, I would think. Yeah. But I was like 3,500. There was no way, for my UN salary, it was worth it for like 3,000, which was still crazy. But that's New York, right? Oh, now it's gone up that much though. Wow. I'm in Washington, DC. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's going though. It's going. All right, guys. All right. I'm going to hang up, so to speak. I will see you guys tomorrow, as we said. Oh, are you kidding? I'd love to go to Norway. I want to go to Norway and see the Northern Lights is what I want to see. That's what I'd love to see. But someday, but I hear Norway may be as expensive as Sweden. Sweden's so damn expensive for Americans. Oh my God. But when I still let the people in Sweden, they were like, oh yeah, you should try Norway. DC is not cheap at all. No, DC is bad. But, because I own my place, it's still expensive, but maybe 2,100 instead of 4,000 in New York or something. It's still crazy expensive, but it's way better, so what do you do? All right, guys, I'm going to hang up. All right. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. 11 a.m. Eastern. Join us if you're a paid subscriber. If not, become a paid subscriber. You can do it. Like I said, airavosis.com. You can find Ko-fi, YouTube. Well, YouTube, you know how to do it. Twitch, everything else. All right, guys. Talk to you later. You're in Sweden? Yeah, it was very crazy expensive. See you guys. Good night. Have a good night. I'm going to go hug the dog who's clearly freaking out.